All right.
So there, all right. There I was Sunday night flipping around, just trying to get caught up. And I stumble across on ABC, I stumble across the 97th Oscars or something like that, the 97 Oscars. And it's a big deal. The Oscars are always a big deal. It used to be a huge TV event with huge, not Super Bowl numbers, but AFC Championship, NFC Championship numbers. I gave it about 30 seconds. I got to be honest, I couldn't handle it anymore. It wasn't that the speeches were bad or the movies were bad. They weren't wearing masks. I mean, how much more can we take? We have to look at these people up there at the super spreader event, putting everybody's life in danger. I almost felt like I was getting exposed to the virus with all these phonies up there, maskless. But I have to get.
They had their Regina King, didn't she describe? Yeah, I got the video right here. She described her reason for maskless.
Yes, they.
It is also nominated in 3 categories. So, I am very proud and excited to be here. And yes, we are doing it maskless. Yes. You are probably asking, how are they able to do that? Well, think of this as a movie set. An Oscars movie with a cast of over 200 nominees. People have been vaxxed, tested, retested, socially distanced, and we are following all of the rigorous protocols that got us back to work safely. So, just like on a movie set, when we're rolling, masks off. And when we're not rolling, masks on. All right? That's how we do it.
They get to take their masks off when they're rolling, and we saw it all night. There were people going up there getting their awards and making their little speeches. I wonder how that would play if you were, I don't know, you had a 2-year-old on an airplane and you said to the stewardess, the flight attendant, oh, when we're rolling, we're going to go masks off. Okay, I mean, that's how we do it. It is incredible. If you saw any of this, my man Bill Maher called it, and we'll get to Bill Maher from over the weekend because the highlight of my Saturday mornings now is watching Bill Maher on YouTube do his whatever rant. He had another good one this week, but a few weeks ago, he talked about how depressing the movies were, and they just affirmed everything he said last night, at least the part I was watching. It was, there's obviously they can't have a host, you can't have someone like Ricky Gervais or Chris Rock up there because they might be funny and offend somebody. Instead, it's dour and dark, and the social distancing, whatever, the limited crowd, limited the buzz or the energy. It was just awful, but it fit right in with the movies that were getting honored because, as Bill Maher pointed out, all they do now in Hollywood is make these depressing movies, and you won't see many movies more depressing than Nomadland, which, if you're just tuning in, won the Oscar for Best Picture. It won the Frances McDormand won the Oscar for Best Actress, and then went up and howled like a wolf. And I'll get to that, but it just felt like when they show the highlights or anything, when they show the brief speeches, everything was just so depressing. I mean, there's some movie or a documentary about a guy making friends with an octopus, literally going in the water and making friends with it. That won an award for best, I don't know what, best documentary short. I don't think in my life I've ever watched something and said, that's a good short. No. Except for the Three Stooges. Those were shorts and those were good, but I don't even know what a short is. But the whole thing was so depressing, and they should have played Bill Maher's role.
That was awful, by the way. Like, why didn't they jazz up the place a little bit? Like, you couldn't do it in a real, I don't know, in a nice theater or something. What's the difference?
Why can't you have a host who's funny? I mean, Ricky Gervais, I don't even know what his speech from last year was on Twitter. Everyone was tweeting it out because it was so good. It was so funny, just mocking these people. And it ends, at least the clip that was gone viral last night, where he says, something about Jeffrey Epstein. He says, "Oh, don't say you're all friends of his." And there's a little gasp in the theater when he did it. And he tweeted his own speech out and said, "I wasn't invited. I wonder why," or something.
Yeah.
But what is wrong with that? So you offend one or two actresses, maybe you offend, I don't know, Glenn Close or something. So what? You entertain 50 million people. I don't know why the people who do this wouldn't want a good, funny, acerbic host up there to get some laughs.
And by the way, nobody saw these movies this year.
No,
So it's literally like, it's one thing if you saw a movie, you liked it, and you want to watch the awards to see if it won an award. Nobody saw it, so the only option you have is to be entertained watching this event, which is why they should have gone with somebody like him.
It's true that nobody watched most of them. It's always true, but never more so than this year. It was striking how many movies you looked at and said, what? Or whatever, or shorts or documentaries or foreign whatever. It was almost like, at least the parts I saw, a mocker. It was almost like a satire or spoof on the Oscars. It was so bad. Literally, let some guy come up and start thanking everyone in the world because and by the way, he never thanked the octopus. The star of the show never got acknowledged for that movie or whatever it is. That's short about making friends with an octopus. But I'm looking at, as I said, Nomadland 1, which I was glad because I saw it and it sucked. And I mean, I can say that with authority. Most of the movies, like you said, I can't speak of. I'm going to find the list right here. And but Nomadland, I saw it, and it stinks, and it's boring, and it's dour, and it's dark. And I know that's supposed to be a little bit dark, but it's pointless too. There's no real plot. It's just McDormand, whatever it is, Francis McDormand running around in a van and taking a dump in a box, and just cleaning toilets at the whatever the rest stop she works at. It's terrible, and the whole thing. You're going, okay, can we get to the good part? Can we get to the plot? I don't even know what the plot was. Just this lady who lost her husband and drives around in a van and meets weird people. But it's not even, they don't even really go into the people she meets in depth, maybe one or two, but you want more. It seems like there should have been some kind of resolution with it's a good idea to do a story about these weirdos who travel around in vans and campers and don't really have any, attachments or commitments in life, but it doesn't work. I mean, all you do is you look at her face. She's 63 years old. She's an old lady, and they just put the camera on her face for like an hour and a half of the expressions. You're looking out at the sunset or something. It's just terrible, but it won Best Picture, and it's not nearly as bad as other movies that won Best Picture, like Moonlight, like The Shape of Water. I saw these, like Spotlight, that circle jerk from, journalists who made it all about them. Terrible movies. This falls right. Again, it wasn't as bad as Moonlight, but it was bad. I did see Sound of Metal, which I thought was excellent. And the guy who played I don't know if you know the story, Sound of Metal is about a drummer who goes deaf. And again, another happy, cheery, fun comedy. It's just one depressing movie after another, but Sound of Metal was much better than Nomadland. And the guy who played the drummer his name is Riz, whatever. He was excellent. So I was rooting for him. I didn't think he stood a chance because we know this is the woke Oscars, the most PC Oscars. And we knew there weren't going to be a lot of, white guys winning Oscars. At least we thought there wouldn't be a lot of white guys winning Oscars. This was going to be, this is going to be diverse. This is going to be inclusive. And the woman who directed Nomadland, all you hear about is first Asian woman who directed, first Asian woman to do this. I mean, it's all about first. It's all about identity politics. And so I was expecting, so was everybody else, expecting Chadwick Boseman to win posthumously for Best Actor. He was nominated, and from what I heard, from the experts, it was a no-brainer. It was a sure thing. Lead pipe lock. Chadwick Boseman was going to win. So if he didn't, maybe they'd have to pick some other actor of color or some other, identity politics choice. So I'm thinking maybe Raz, whatever his name is, I'm going to get his name, Riz. Riz might win. He didn't win, and neither did Chadwick Boseman. I couldn't believe it, but the winner was Anthony Hopkins. And I don't know.
83-year-old Anthony Hopkins.
83-year-old.
He didn't even show up to the event. He didn't even show up or do a speech, right? He didn't even do a speech.
he's whiter than you or me, and he wins. Didn't do a speech. It was just like the air went out of the balloon. They named him. It's like, oh yeah, right. And I didn't see the movie. He was great when he won for Silence of the Lambs. Obviously a great actor, but upset of the night. I think the upset of the night. I'm not really sure what the experts are saying this morning, but it was not Chadwick Boseman. Neither was it Riz. I'm looking at the Yahoo guy has the biggest snubs of the night. So I'm going to guess he thought Chadwick Boseman was snubbed because everybody did, but whatever. I don't care.
Where did people see these movies, by the way? Like, where did
well, you see? I mean, I guess on Netflix. I mean, people were talking about Netflix and whatever, hey, Hulu, Amazon Prime, you name it. Right, not many were seen in the theaters, and that's what some of the speeches were about. We can't wait to get back to the theaters. But it's a good question. Like, some of them weren't available, at least that I guess you'll look for them now.
That would have been probably a nice thing to do. Did they address that at all? Like, to address the theater owners of the world? Say, like, we're going to help support you through this madness? Because I actually saw a tweet over the weekend. I didn't know if I read one. I thought your theater was gone right there, ArcLight, but it seems like they might come back from the dead. I think I saw a tweet over the weekend. So,
oh really? That'd be
sure. Awesome. I don't know if the Boston one is included, but ArcLight as a whole is unsure if they're going to be able to.
That would be awesome. It's a great theater with, as I've said, and I mean, it was barely open. It was open for a couple months, and then boom, gone. Can you get the list of friggin' Oscar the nominees? Because I'm struggling here to find my. Here we are. Best Oscar. All we get is Oscar winners. I want the nominees for Best Picture and Best Actor, because I want to count. Should have done this as the show was going on last night, but I want to count how many I saw. I think it's 2 or 3 out of whatever 10. But that's like everyone else. This is going to have the worst.
Here's Best Picture. What's Minari, Sound of Metal, Mank? Promising Young Woman, which I've heard is good, actually.
Oh, Chicago 7 I saw, which is not Best Picture material. It's good. And the problem with Chicago 7 is, Sacha Baron Cohen get nominated for a number of awards for supporting actor, and he was terrible. He was like a 50-year-old guy playing Abby Hoffman at 25. And he was distracting because it was Borat trying to play Abby Hoffman. He was terrible, but the movie was pretty good. There were other good performances, but The Father with Anthony Hopkins is the winner of Best Actor. Riz Ahmed should have won. I didn't see Chadwick Boseman, but I thought he would win posthumously because it seemed kind of appropriate. But these are the Oscar voters. They are virulent racists, obviously didn't want to give it to a black guy. So I'm glad I didn't spend a lot of time on it this year. It was easy to mock, though. I will say that. As I tuned in, I said, God, they're giving awards to octopuses and they're not wearing their masks. And there was the usual, they always, every year they say they're going to limit the politics. It's not going to be all about, woke politics and the old actor. They're not going to get up there and talk about whatever climate change, but some clown did get up and start lying about the police. Who is the guy? Who is this guy? And what did he win?
This is a director, Trayvon Free. So here he is.
What did he win? I can look that up.
Did he win Best Director? I don't think he was.
The woman who did Nomadland won Best. Could be Best Director of whatever. So it was early in the night, so it was some minor award. What's his name?
Trayvon Free.
Trayvon Free. I'll look it up, but we'll listen. He went up there and lied about the police, and they're not going to be able to figure out why they're going to have all-time low ratings. The ratings of this are going to be dreadful because it was a terrible show. Plus, people are tired of this crap, which we'll get to. We'll get to LeBron James and how sick of this attack on police people are at this point. I have a feeling this is going to blow up in this clown's face. What did he direct? Did you find it?
No, I was just pulling it up. I'll look while he's doing it. But
all right, let's listen to, what's it? Trayvon
Free.
Today, the police will kill 3 people, and tomorrow the police will kill 3 people, and the day after that the police will kill 3 people, because on average the police in America every day kill 3 people, which amounts to about 1,000 people a year. And those people happen to disproportionately be black people. And, James Baldwin once said, the most despicable thing a person can be is indifferent to other people's pain. And so I just ask that you please not be indifferent. Please don't be indifferent to our pain.
To our pain. Please kill 1,000. I mean, how many of the 1,000, you dink, are shooting at them, are trying to kill them, or coming at them with a knife, or are going to kill another child, as we saw in Columbus, Ohio last week? How many would you put in that category? To just say the police kill 1,000 people, God, that's despicable. I know they can't, edit it out or shut this clown up. They probably asked everyone to keep it to a minimum, the politics, but that's just such crap. They kill 1,000 people, and his pain. What kind of pain does he have? He's a friggin' director in Hollywood, winning golden statues.
We didn't know because it was a short film, one of our favorite categories. Two Distant Strangers on Netflix, a short film, is what he won for.
And he's going to bring up killing three police a day. Yeah, they're going to kill three criminals today. As we know, we've gone over the numbers many, many times. In 2019, unarmed black men, there were 13 killed by police. 2020, 18 out of 50 million interactions with cops. Even those, there's only a fraction of those. I believe the 18, there was only like 6 or 7 which were considered criminal, and the cops are charged. But you bring it up on the heels of what the hero cop in Columbus, Nicholas Reardon, did is just despicable. What's his name again? Trayvon? What?
Trayvon Free. Yep.
Trayvon Free. And what's the short called? Because I'm going to make sure.
Two Distant Strangers. Yes.
Oh, that just sounds so great, doesn't it? Two Distant Strangers. I'm going to get the policeman. We've done this before, I know, but cops killed 2020. I'm sure this guy's very concerned. It was the deadliest year ever for police in the United States. Deadliest year on record. Policemen killed in the line of duty, 264. A number of those were of COVID, which they caught in the line of duty. But I wonder if Trayvon feels any pain for them. But whatever, we're not going to listen to that clown. I do want to play the weirdo Frances McDormand, who I think she's a good actress. I think she put on a good performance, just a depressing story and a depressing movie. But she came out to give a speech and just started howling like a wolf, which was interesting.
We give this one to our wolf.
Now you're watching
of an individual,
a lunatic, and she is apparently, but the explanation was, and I had to go look it up, I'm sure, and a lot of people did, was that I don't know what he was, an editor on the film, his name Wolf, and he killed himself during the, before the movie came out. After they made the movie, this film editor guy committed suicide, and that was a shout out to him. I believe it was Michael Wolf or something like that, the editor, but that was a shout out to him. I'm not sure anybody could ever know that that's what that was when she's up there howling, but whatever. She was expected to win, and she did win, and congratulations. And I look forward to getting the numbers any minute now. We'll get the ratings, and they will be awful. They will be absolutely awful, but that's what you expect. Well, I don't understand why they wouldn't, again, want Ricky Gervais. We'd be talking about today how funny it was, how entertaining it was. If you had Ricky, hell, you know what? They should have Bill Maher. They should have my man Bill Maher do the Oscars, especially after his rant a couple of weeks ago about how bad and depressing. And Bill said in the rant that he was rooting for one of his favorite films was the Korean who took a dump in a coffee can. I don't know about you, but that was one of my favorite movies too. Bill took these people to task, and they, what they did last night? They kind of proved his point. It was just so depressing.
I would think that people in charge of, our entertainment in the world would understand how to put on an entertaining style show. Especially when they do it when there's no NFL football. By the way, it's like the one opportunity you have to actually get monster ratings because no football's around, and they don't take advantage of it, which is wild.
No, and people are on our comment line on our YouTube comments are all saying that why'd you watch? And I'm curious. I like to hate watch certain things. Like I said, I hate watch Saturday Night Live. I used to hate watch Bill Maher. Now I love watch Bill Maher. Well, not always. He's still a crazy liberal. He still hates Trump, but once a week he'll do a rant or go off on a tangent that just will be gold, and it'll get viral, and I'll tweet it and I'll love it. And this was no exception. Let's get to Bill Maher on Friday night on his show, which I don't watch because I don't have HBO, but on Saturday, or probably late Friday, everything's available on YouTube. So and generally, if he does a good monologue, it goes viral and you can see it everywhere. And this was a good one, talking about millennials and just the idiots out there mocking, the older folks, mocking the, people like me, mocking for whatever, for being clueless, for being unable to figure out technology. And he just points out how what fools the younger generation is, and he makes some great points, especially pointing out that you're going to mock an old guy or an old woman who can't figure out a cell phone, and then he shows a picture of a young person on a cell phone walking in the middle of traffic, saying who's the clueless one now. But let's hear some from my man Bill Maher the other night.
So when you say you're old, you don't get it. Get what? Abolish the police and the border patrol and capitalism and cancel Lincoln? No, I get it. The problem isn't that I don't get what you're saying or that I'm old. The problem is that your ideas are stupid. If you say, let's eat in the bathroom and shit in the kitchen, yeah, that's a new idea. But I wouldn't call it interior design. You think someone 80 is hopeless because they can't use an iPhone? Maybe the one who's hopeless is the one who can't stop using it. You think I'm out of it because I'm not on Twitch? Well, maybe I get Twitch, but I just think people watching other people play video games is a waste of fucking time. 20% of Gen Z agree with the statement, society would be better off if all property was owned by the public and managed by the government. And another 29% say they don't know if that's a good idea. Here's who does know. Anyone who wasn't born yesterday.
He's so proud of himself lately. He knows he's on like a heater, like you wouldn't believe.
You know what? It's easy for him is because he just, obviously he's a hardcore liberal and always has been. And, that when Trump was in office, he just bashed Trump. And, that was red meat to his audience of mostly morons. But think of how easy it is to do, is to just take an unconventional look at whatever from a liberal's perspective. Nobody does it. You don't see it on CNN or MSNBC or ABC. I mean, they all say the same thing about everything, That's the problem. And nobody dares participate in wrongthink, in taking on the mob. And he basically gives the finger to the mob once a week. And these people who love him, many of them, don't know what to do. They're like, wait a second, he was one of ours. And he does, he'll as pointing out, mocking people who want to defund the police or get rid of the border patrol. This is the mainstream Democrats now. You see it every day. Want to get rid of the border patrol, defund the police, reimagine the police, which is the line you hear from people like Barack Obama or Joe Biden, who are afraid to come out flat out say defund the police. So they say, let's reimagine the police. And Bill Maher mocks them, as they should be. As you see crime spike, particularly violent crime spike around the country, you're going to have serious people say, let's stop, including my crazy congressperson, Ayanna Pressley, talk about defunding the police. And they don't back down. They don't, Rashida Tlaib said after the shooting in Columbus, or after the latest shooting in Minnesota, I believe, after the the Dante Wright shooting, said, time to get rid of cops and prisons. This is a sitting congressperson. So these lunatics are out there taking their party down this road to nowhere, down this just extreme direction. And Bill Maher just points it out. All he does is point out how stupid that is. And he does it in his funny, acerbic way. And next week, he'll do a thing that will drive me nuts that I will hate. He'll be, whatever, ripping on Trump again, or ripping on whoever, on Josh Hawley or Ted Cruz, and I'll get frustrated again. But really, there aren't many people who hear Democrat Congress people say, defund the police, get rid of the Border Patrol, let's stop whatever driving cars, let's make everything electric and go into these extreme environmental positions.
No more hamburgers.
No more hamburger, yes, which was a funny story over the weekend. And I don't care if every fact checker out there says it's not true, but if you missed it over the weekend, the Daily Mail came out with a story basically saying that the Biden administration has declared war on meat. I think and it went kind of viral because, it is kind of funny, but the headline is how Biden's climate plan could limit you to eat just one burger a month, cost $3,500 a year per person in taxes, and force you to spend $55,000 on an electric car and crush American jobs. All that is true. I don't care what Snopes says, but if you look at the Green New Deal, if you look at he said we want to get to zero emissions by 2050, which is absurd. It's ridiculous. But here's what you got to do every time you see something like this, hear something like this. You just have to look back. You can Google it and find the predictions of demise, of disaster that you heard in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. You heard Al Gore predict Manhattan would be underwater by 2000. John Kerry has made 1 million predictions, all of them wrong, and yet somehow he still has a job and a government jet to go around the world talking about climate change. These are the biggest phonies. I'm not going to say climate change is one big scam, but these are con artists. John Kerry, Al Gore, all the people who are shouting from the rooftops that the world is going to end. Hell, I include Greta Thunberg, who doesn't talk about climate change. She doesn't warn about it. She scolds. She's the person Bill Maher's talking about, this dumb kid who didn't even go to school, sitting in Norway, lecturing the world on how the world's going to end. We're all going to die. There's stories you'll see every now and then about kids these days and how they're scared of everything and anxious, and they're being medicated and hospitalized. And you know why? Because the adults are telling the kids that we're all going to die in 8 years or 10 years or 11 years. We're all going to die, and it's going to be a horrible death. The world is going to burn. We're all going to burn to death in 8-10 years. When you're 23, you're going to die an awful death. Why are these kids, these hospitals have kids out in the hallways in beds being treated for anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts? Can't quite figure it out. Once we get through the virus, and we're practically through it, we're going to get back to climate change. We're going to get back to how we're all going to die real soon if we don't do everything that, I don't even say Joe Biden, everything that the establishment, the system tells you must do, including, by the way, stop eating meat, because cow farts are going to kill us all. And there is truth to this. It might not be something.
Would we get calls on if we were doing a radio show today? Would we get calls if our poll question today was, "Are you willing to give up cheeseburgers?"
Right. That's well, let me guess, 100 to 0. Because I know that no one who follows me or no one I interact with would ever say, "Yes, I'll give up cheeseburgers because Joe." But most kids or most young who aren't completely in this cult don't even get it. In fact, I was talking about this with my son, saying, what does that do? You give up burgers. Well, that means we don't have to have as many cows. So what happens? So we eat the cows we have, and then we don't replace them. We don't breed them. We don't have any more cows. And that means that the world, not the country, that the world, including India and China, which don't give a damn about this kind of nonsense, that the world will be saved if you stop eating burgers or steaks. It's absurd. Even if it were true, I'm not sure people could do it. It's not true. And I mean, you could feel it. You could feel it. It's just another way for them to control the John Kerrys, these vile flim flam men to control everything. I mean, just look, if you don't like the hamburger steak thing, look at the goal of having every car electric or refitting buildings around the country and stopping natural gas, not just oil, natural gas, leaving all the fossil fuel in the ground. They're going to ban drilling, period, in California. Now that will cripple the economy and put millions out of work. What will it do for the temperature of the planet? Nothing. It's just absurd, and they're really kind of annoying because they were blocked the other day in Boston over the weekend. Beautiful day in Boston on Saturday. They were blocking traffic. Now you can protest all you want. When you start blocking traffic, and in some of these red states, they're making laws to I don't want to not allow drivers to run down rioters. That's what the left is saying, that they're allowing drivers to kill protesters. They're not really, but they're saying if the driver's life is in danger because his car is surrounded or they're climbing on the car, the driver can hit the gas and get out of there if his life is in danger. And it's the fault of the rioter, which is good. That's the way it should be. But blocking traffic, that should be the cops should be immediately called in and be able to drag away every single person who blocks traffic and keeps people from getting to work or keeps people from getting to their appointments in Boston. It was right downtown. Could have been people going to the hospital, going to get their chemo, going to do appointments, taking their kids to they couldn't get there because these idiots had a big banner across the road and a sailboat, a pink sailboat. And all it said on it was climate crisis. It's like, who brainwashed these idiots to take their beautiful Saturday and say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to block traffic today because what? Because people are driving SUVs or using plastic bags. And what do you think is going to happen if they stop? That the world is going to get cooler or not going to heat up as fast? I mean, how do they get so brainwashed? It's amazing. Bill Maher is so right, and he should have focused on this because defund the police and get rid of the border patrol, open borders, that's one thing, but just give up all the amenities, all the luxuries of modern life because you want to cool the planet is just so ridiculous. And I can't believe so many people fall for it. So many people think Greta Thunberg is like a prophet. Oh, listen to her. She spoke to this climate summit thing. This 18-year-old dropout. They have her on a call from Norway to listen to lecture world leaders. How like she has any clue what she's talking about in terms of the science of the. It's just amazing the spell people have fallen under. And all I'm going to say is get ready, because once we're done with the virus, once we're done with the coronavirus, we are going to move on hardcore, deep.
We are done with the coronavirus. 15,000 people were willing to die on Saturday night just to watch basically a guy break his leg. Right? Did you see that?
Right.
Oh my God,
I'm not a big UFC. I like Dana White. I like the way this is the one professional sport that told the Corona bros, told all the the mask fanatics to suck it right at the beginning. They were having events a year ago when Major League Sports, hell, high school, college were all hiding in the basement because of the scary virus. Dana White was trying to find private islands that he could have events on, so he never cowered to the coronavirus mob. God bless him. I'm happy for him. I root for them. They banged the place out in Jacksonville. Tom Brady was there with all his bros, including AG right next to him, Alex Guerrero. Tim Tebow was there, and they all got to see a guy shatter his femur or snap his femur. But there were 15,000 people there, which means Dr. Fauci will be on CNN this morning saying, in 2 weeks, everyone in Jacksonville is going to die. And in 2 weeks, no one in Jacksonville is going to die, and he'll be on TV again making some other ridiculous claim. As I tweeted out this morning, somebody, God bless him, counted all of Fauci's appearances in the last year since he became famous, and since he became the conscience of America. He's now over 300 appearances on TV. An 80-year-old doctor who's supposed to be working for the federal government. He's the highest paid federal employee in the United States, and he's been on TV 300 times. What? I mean, is there anybody? I guess it would have to be Joe Biden. It should have been Donald Trump. Is there anybody who's going to say, hey, Anthony, how about you stay in the office today and do some work? I mean, how about go to the green room, or go to the virtual studio and sit down and talk to Allison Camerata or George Stephanopoulos. I mean, enough. He goes on and he says the same crap, and nobody's listening. I mean, I should say nobody. Very few people are listening to him anymore. It's like so tiresome and tedious. He's been wrong more than John Kerry, so people are just sick of it.
Admits this weekend that masks are basically pointless. Like, steps all over himself.
Right.
Like, again, masks outside are basically pointless. It's just, yeah. I actually think 300 is low. I feel like I turn him on and I see him 17 times a day. I would
That's
think
true. He does 4 or 5 Sunday shows every week, and he is on CNN. I mean, I don't see the appearances because he doesn't do Fox except with his buddy Chris Wallace, but he does go on CNN and all the networks. But you see him on Twitter, and it's always retweeted and mocked and ridiculed. But it's amazing. They're asking the same question. They gave an award to him last night, by the way, at the Oscars. There was they called it, I don't know what it was called, the healthcare, whatever award, and they gave him an award. I don't think he was there in wherever the hell the Oscars, in LA. But that's why he does what he does, so he can get honored by the beautiful people, so he could be, in that circle. And he dreads the day the virus is officially over. That's the saddest day in his 80 years. That day when we no longer need him. That day when Allison Camerata is no longer calling him and saying, can you just give us a few minutes of your time and tell us to wash our hands and wear masks again? It's just so damn tedious, and people are just sick of it. It is disappointing to me how many people where I live who are still wearing masks outside, when we've seen one study after another. There's the latest one from MIT. I realize these people aren't, as smart as Greta Thunberg or as smart as Joe Biden, but said, the social distance doesn't matter. 60 feet is no different than 6 feet. And one after another, we're hearing experts kind of admit, including a story in the New York Times, which I couldn't believe, that masks outdoors are unnecessary, as we've been saying for a year. If you look in, you read the right story, you look in the right places and listen to the right people, you knew it just on human instinct. You knew wearing a mask by yourself outside, going for a run, bike ride, walking is ridiculous. It's just a way to virtue signal and say, look at me. I'm submitting here. I'm obeying. And I think more and more people are finally figuring out that it was pointless, and they're not wearing them in, Florida or Texas. They're still wearing them in New England, sad to say, but they'd do anything. I said this for months, that if Charlie Baker told people to wear their underwear on the head tomorrow to stop the spread, 90% of people in New England would do it. In Boston and Massachusetts. It's really disappointing to me how many people are just falling in line, and they're still, I'm still getting the dirty looks when I'm out there without a mask.
But it is wild too, there's no ramifications for it, right? Like, everyone and their mother wants their kid to be, you would be like honored your kid would be smart enough to go to MIT, but a study comes out that says that it doesn't make a difference between 6 or 60 feet. All these businesses in the world are closed. Kids are freaking going in literally insane because they aren't in school anymore. Right. You know what I mean? And there will be no ramifications, is my point in this whole thing. Like, no one's going to pay a price for basically all this flawed information being put out there.
No, businesses out of price does Fauci pay for being wrong? Fauci a year ago, last March 9th, told people do not hesitate to go on a cruise. Last February said this virus is not a big deal. Last March said do not wear a mask. You don't need to wear masks. So this thing we're told that saves lives, this mask, we hear it from Joe Biden all the time. He holds it out and goes, wear a mask. It's patriotic. It saves lives. That is exact opposite of what Fauci said, which means Fauci a year ago cost lives. When he said don't wear a mask, he cost lives. That guy is still being honored like he's friggin' Anthony Hopkins to this day. He's a little older probably than Anthony Hopkins, but to this day, it's like time. We're so done. And you'll hear see studies like the one from MIT and saying they're just throwing stuff against the wall. They don't know. I mean, kids and kids wearing masks on the schoolyard. I don't know if we should play that mother down in Georgia. She was spectacular last week. The mother went to the school committee meeting and just went off on the mask mandate for children. And it was very passionate. And that woman became a hero to the skeptics out there like me. But let's do the runner in Oregon first, because we've covered this ground. We've talked to our guy, Coach Keys up in New Hampshire, who got fired because he would not force all his track athletes to wear masks, his runners. I mean, there were rules up in New Hampshire where you didn't have to wear it when you're doing the hurdles or the discus or the shot put, but you did have to wear it when you're running sprints or running a mile. And he didn't make any of his guys wear masks, and he got fired for it. He became kind of a hero out there. He became kind of a voice of the resistance. Well, the other day in Oregon has the strictest mask mandate because Oregon's, Moonbat Central. That's where they allow Antifa to burn buildings on a nightly basis. That's where they've torn down every statue of everybody. Lincoln, all the racists like Abe Lincoln, they tore down the statues in Oregon. It's ground central for this lunatic fringe, but they have a very strict mask mandate. High school kids have to wear masks while running track, and a kid running the 800 meters passed out at the finish line. 800 meters, that's a bitch. That's, like 2 laps, sprinting your ass off around the track with a mask, choking on your own fumes. There's a picture right there on the screen of the kid passing out at the finish line because he can't breathe. The coach came out afterwards and said, this is crazy, but you know what? It's Oregon. Nothing will change. It's not going to matter. They want, it's a competition. Who can virtue signal more? Who can show the world that they're the most committed, to stopping the virus, as if this has anything to do with it. But can we hear from the coach of this kid of whatever high school in Oregon after his kid passed out at the finish line?
Well, it doesn't sit well with me because of the nature of track and field and cross country, right? We all understand why we train. We're trying to develop systems that deal better with oxygen delivery systems, right? And all of a sudden, we're limiting our oxygen delivery system, and we need that in our blood flow, right? Our brain, our lungs, everything that we do. VO2 max is all part of everything we do, and it's all dependent on oxygen. And if you cut down the amount of oxygen that we're able to get, you're going to cut down on the performance, or you're going to hurt somebody. And so, a while back when we were talking about having a state championship, a few of us coaches were like, that's a horrible idea, because if we're in masks, you're going to have kids going at max velocity, trying to hit times they've never hit before. And they're going to go beyond their, what we call the pain cave. And now they're going to hit this level, and they're not going to have the oxygen to support what they're going to do. And I said, somebody's going to crash and get hurt. And we're very fortunate that Maggie didn't get hurt. And if there's not some type of adjustment to the policy, I'm not sure I'm going to let her run the 8 again with a mask.
So they got like, this is exactly what Brad Keys was talking about, right? Like they got lucky. This guy doesn't have the balls initially. Yeah, he says don't have a championship, but he absolutely should have the balls that Brad Keys had, because he seemed pretty friggin' educated on the matter.
Is that kid, Maggie, who's the one that passed out at the finish line, is she going to wear a mask in the next race?
No kidding. Yeah.
I mean, what do parents have to say? I realize they might be crazy Oregon liberals, but at some point you have to say, this is hurting our children. This is crazy to make kids, and everyone knows it has nothing to do with controlling the virus. You see that Little League Baseball will not allow 12-year-olds to participate in the tournament if they're not vaccinated. 12-year-olds who, again, are in no danger of getting the virus.
Which, by the way, they're not even in the timeline to get it right, at all. But
you want 12-year-olds to have a vaccine that they don't need just to make you feel better. This has gotten out of control, and it's good to hear some people speaking out against this. Guy seems reasonable, talking about what does he call it? The death cave?
No, he's a
You
sissy.
can't-
He's an idiot. He's a sissy. Brad Keys is a guy who gets it. Like, this guy's a loser. I'm not going to give guys credit just because he knew the ramifications.
Right.
Then it happened. She could have got significantly hurt, and luckily she did not. This girl,
But what's going to change? I mean, we'll follow it. But what's going to change? Nothing. It's Oregon. I mean, at some point, people just have to rise up and throw these, to say, and no more masks on children, no more masks outside, no more masks while I'm running, biking, exercising outdoors in the sun, in the wind. You're an idiot if you're wearing a mask alone outdoors. You're just a sheep. I mean, I don't know how to put it any plainer than. I mean, you're just a lemming if you think that in your heart, that's not stopping anything, the virus of any, and it doesn't matter. It's just a way. It's like putting one of purple pink ribbon. When there's some cause it said and putting a big ribbon on there and say, look at me, I care more than you. This stuff really matters to me. It's putting a resist bumper sticker on your Subaru. That's what it is. It's look at me, I care more than you do. Well, you really don't. If you want kids like poor Maggie to come crashing down at the finish line because she's sucking in her own fumes, can't catch her breath because she's wearing a friggin' face diaper. You don't care. You don't care about kids. But it is getting to the point where people are going to stand up and say enough. Hopefully they'll do it even in New England or even in Oregon. I know they're already doing it in Florida and Texas and free America. But that's opened some eyes. Seeing a kid, a high school kid, crashing at the finish line because she can't breathe. How is that in the name of public health? In the name of public health, we're going to suffocate young track athletes. And like the coach said, fortunately, she didn't get hurt. But what if she did? I was just reading the story. She gets pretty scraped up.
Yep.
She obviously.
I mean, it was blurry, but if you look at her on the image, I mean, she's legit. Like, she could have hit her head, and even like from a concussion state, whatever. Like, it could have been. There's some real ramifications here. That's why I say this guy's a sissy.
Maggie suffered a burn to her face along with scraped elbows and knees. I was pushing so hard, and everything went blurry, and I just fell, says Maggie Williams.
I thought people only push really hard in championship races or whatever the hell they call them in track and field, according to the coach.
She slid across the finish line with a time of 2:08:45, a school record. So she set a school record with something blocking her nose and mouth. This kid is a badass track star. She set a school record even though she couldn't breathe and barely made it to the finish line. It's outrageous. I mean, it's insane. Where her parents, hopefully they're insisting next time she runs, she can do it without something blocking her air canals and preventing her from breathing. That's just madness. But I don't know if we have time to get to the Georgia mother who was spectacular, and that went viral, and she became kind of the new voice of the resistance because we got to get to LeBron. I enjoyed watching LeBron getting slapped around all weekend. There's really no defense. Even the biggest LeBron suck up, and God knows there are a lot of them out there, cannot defend what he did when he doxed the heroic police officer in Columbus, Ohio, who saved the girl in pink, who shot Ma'Khia Bryant, the girl wielding the knife. Everybody's seen the video. Everybody's seen all the angles and the photos. There's really no disputing it. There's not going to be any trials. There's not going to be any disciplinary action or any of that because it was clear-cut, spectacular police work by 23-year-old Nicholas Reardon. 23. He's been on the police force for a year and a half. He's received no commendations and no complaints, just kind of a under-the-radar career so far. I've obviously seen it dozens of times, and I'm still amazed that he reacted so quickly. Just incredible reflexes, incredible instincts. Saved the girl in pink. Have not heard from the girl in pink yet, which I think is probably a good sign because Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton and the rest of the charlatans are working her to get her to turn on the cop who saved her life, which is bizarre, but I have no doubt that they've tried to get her to say, somehow the cop overreacted, because you're still hearing it from Ilhan Omar was on TV this morning talking about how the cop did the wrong thing. Truly absurd. But I don't think you're going to find a more outrageous act from a superstar, from a world famous athlete like LeBron than what he did when he docks the cop. No one had even seen the cop's picture to that point and said, "You're next." Accountability, like we're coming for you. If somebody, whatever, took a shot or took a swing or threw a soup can at this cop after LeBron did that, no one would be surprised. I mean, that's the kind of power. I mean, LeBron has 50 million followers. You think someone would say that son of a bitch cop, he's the one that shot the girl, and they don't really, want to bother with the proof, the evidence, the video. They just want to go get him, and that would be on LeBron. The blood would be on LeBron's hands, no question. He backed down. He didn't apologize, or he deleted it and just said he wanted to whatever. He didn't want to create more hate. I know he didn't know what he was doing. He's not a smart man, even though he's read I think 3 pages of Malcolm X's autobiography. We should play his review of that book. He carries around a book to show everyone, how learned he is.
Taylor, you want to follow up? Yeah. So you're holding the autobiography of Malcolm X along with Alex Haley. I don't know how far you are into the book, but what's your biggest takeaway so far?
I kind of just started a couple days ago, but I've read and a lot of notes over the years. This is my first time actually reading this from start to finish. But just a very smart man. Very, very, very smart man. And basically, his words in the 60s and what was going on is actually what's going on today still. Him understanding how powerful the Negro can be. He used that word a lot. How powerful we are, but we have to unite, and we have to be together. We have to stand strong, because there's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be, things that's going to be thrown at us where they try to weaken us. They try to make us feel like we're not kings and queens.
Here's the tip, LeBron. Next time, just say, "I haven't read it. I'm going to read it, but I haven't read it." That's the classic example of the kid in high school trying to BS his way through an answer to the teacher after not doing the homework. I mean, he brings it to the press conference, has it in his hand, is flipping through it. If that's not, virtue signaling, I don't know what is. Let's be honest. He's full of it. He wants everyone to think he's brilliant. He's not. No one who does that does to the cop, Nicholas Reardon, what he did can be that smart, because, I mean, if he were not, the right political side, he'd be banned. I mean, if someone on the other side of the aisle did that, was trying to come up with an athlete, Kurt Schilling did that, or Aubrey Huff did that, or whatever, some boxer, USC guy who had a Trump hat said what LeBron did, they'd be banned probably for life. But LeBron, he has that protection, the cone of protection around him. He's on the right side he's on the same side as Big Tech and Jack Dorsey and Nick and Zuckerberg and the rest of them, so he can do these things. But I was looking at, somebody asked this question. It's a good one. What's worse, what LeBron did or what Myers Leonard did? We talked about Myers Leonard, a few weeks ago. Myers Leonard is the former Miami Heat player who was playing a video game. Obviously not a bright guy. Speaking of dummies, not a bright guy, but no one ever probably said he was a bright guy. But he was playing a video game in early March, and he just yelled out a anti-Semitic slur. He later said he didn't even know what it meant, but he got in a lot of trouble. He was suspended indefinitely and fined $50,000. Then he was traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and then the Thunder said he would not be joining the team or participating in any activities, was signed as a salary filler, and then he was released. He's out of the league, out of a job, out of 50 grand. And the only thing that worked out for him is Julian Edelman threw him a lifeline and said he would like to sit down and talk to him about anti-Semitism. When Myers Leonard said he didn't even know what the word meant, I believed him. He's a dummy. He's a young guy who was just, and if he did know what it meant, he wouldn't have yelled it out on video. He's just a dummy who said a stupid word and paid a hefty price, and I believe is now unemployed. What's worse, that which was stupid, or LeBron's tweet, which was dangerous? No price to pay for LeBron. No fine, no suspension, not even an admonishment from the commissioner of the league. No advertiser, Nike or anyone else, has threatened to pull out and abandon him because of this dangerous doxing.
But isn't that like anything in the world? Like any huge CEO, whether it's a Jack Dorsey, like there's nobody in basketball who has more power than LeBron James.
Right. You know what? You're right. And I wasn't expecting a suspension. Certainly, they would never do that because he's the most powerful guy in the league. But you'd think the league would say, we don't approve of that. That was, that's not who we are, or some other language that they use when someone like, Myers Leonard steps in it. But obviously he's disposable. He's a nobody. LeBron is the most powerful guy in the league and the most prominent athlete in the country. But it's amazing. If someone had taken a shot, or someone had, gone to Nicholas Reardon's house, harassed his family, that's on LeBron. That is on LeBron. Still might happen. We don't have a resolution. I assume they're going to not just exonerate Nicholas Reardon, but they're going to honor him. They should. He should be winning. He should be getting an ESPY, getting an ESPY for heroism and courage and under pressure. And you know what made what Nicholas Reardon did even more amazing, even more commendable, is that somewhere inside him, he had to know that when you do this, there'll be people like LeBron and Elon Omar and Ayanna Presley and you name it. Van Jones was people on CNN and would be coming down on him, even if he did the right, even if they saw the knife, even if they knew that the girl in pink was going to die, perhaps if he didn't take quick action. He knew in the current climate, there are people who hate cops, like that a-hole director, and there are people who make everything about race, and he's white and they're black. So this guy knew. Didn't have time to really give it a lot of thought, but he had to know in the back of his mind that if he does this, he can't win with some people, and those people include this dink LeBron James. And I think anyone who's being honest, everyone who's not just totally race obsessed, like the squad, like most people on CNN, anyone who's being honest has to say LeBron crossed the line. LeBron should apologize, and this cop should be not just exonerated, but honored. But late last week, Marcellus Wiley, who's, who's unlike LeBron, he's really smart, really bright, and occasionally takes a chance, like when he challenged Black Lives Matter, because family is very important to him, and Black Lives Matter, they don't, they took it off their website, but one of their, one of the planks of Black Lives Matter's mission is to disrupt the nuclear family and defund the police. And he wasn't on board with those things, so he didn't join the mob and supporting Black Lives Matter, which was an issue for Marcellus Wiley a few months ago. But we played it, and it was great. And he did it again. He told the truth about LeBron James, and too few people, particularly in the sports media, where there are a lot of LeBron worshipers. Not many people did this, but Marcellus Wiley was great on this the other day.
The accountability that was deleted in that tweet is ironic. Like, to put up hashtag accountability, which is something that we all need right now in this moment. Accountability on all sides with all people, whether you're talking about the police officers, whether you're talking about the individuals in this situation, or even the victim in this situation. Every situation with accountability, not just rooting interests. And that's what's interesting about this. LeBron James, in terms of what he does for his day job, being a basketball player, second best at worst ever, maybe the GOAT. It's amazing. There's one glaring critique on his resume, that he defers in critical times. Damn, I wish that was true in this moment. When it's a real issue, not just basketball wins and losses and points scored. When it's real life issues, where's the deferring? In that moment, LeBron, until all the facts come out, till you watch the video, till you come out and see what's right from wrong in this situation. He should have passed in this moment. In the misstep, I can't excuse that. In the misstep, like we harp on a play in a football game, and we will spend a whole show on that. Yeah. But then on this, because we like LeBron and he's wrapped in so much love because we not only respect his game, but his commitment to his family, to his community, blah, blah, blah. But the irresponsibility that shows in the micro makes me say, be responsible about the macro. Like, dog, 250 black people killed by police every year. That's 250 too many people. But in the macro sense, there's 7,500 homicides to black people every single year as well. I'm not saying, LeBron, you got to put the focus on that fully, but let's be responsible. We're going to just go in there and say, I want to save 250 people, which we all do. But there's 7,500 in totality that never gets the discussion because the people with the platform are not highlighting that.
If that's on ESPN, and I know ESPN numbers are down, I bet he's not on television this week if he's on ESPN.
No question. I mean, they probably have no interest in him. They probably sit in meetings. Oh, no, we don't want Marcellus Wiley. He's too smart. He thinks for himself. We want everybody to be like, the panel on whatever, Around the Horn or PTI. We want everyone to agree that LeBron is wonderful, Trump bad, LeBron great. We want everyone to be on board with this current woke climate, and they are for the most part. But he makes a great point. 7,500 black victims of homicide, most killed by black people, and LeBron never says a word. Neither does Ayanna Pressley or Ilhan Omar or any of the aforementioned people who are outraged when this cop did the right thing and saved a black girl's life. Jaslyn Adams. LeBron won't know that name. Neither will any of the people on CNN or whatever. They won't care. She's the 7-year-old who was killed, shot dead in the drive-through window at McDonald's. They caught the guy the other day, by the way, who did it. But LeBron James has never tweeted about the violence in Chicago. He'll tweet about the 18 unarmed black people shot by cops last year, but he won't tweet about the 18 people probably shot yesterday in Chicago, including, or at least a week ago, Jaslyn Adams, a 7-year-old. You think maybe some of these people, so maybe Al Sharpton, Benjamin Crump would say, at least my condolences, this has to stop. The old line is, it just keeps happening. What Greg Popovich always says, it just keeps happening. Well, no, it doesn't. What does keep happening? Innocent children like Jaslyn Adams keep getting caught in the crossfire in Chicago and Baltimore and St. Louis and these places that people like LeBron just ignore. Don't say a word. Don't tweet a word about it. It's just reprehensible. And again, no price to pay for LeBron. No warning, no scolding from his employer, from his advertisers, from his league. He's just the biggest fraud. But then I think most people,
wild because it is wild in that situation. Like the only rational, like if you're making an argument for the other side, right, is that somebody is more likely to survive a stabbing than they would be getting shot, right? Isn't that the only logical argument you can make on the other side, which is absurd in this situation? I'm just saying, but that's
this is a situation where the usual suspects have nowhere to go. I mean, Joy Reid and Juan Williams both said that, I think it was Joy Reid, said that he should have shot a warning shot into the sky, and that would have scared her and stopped her. She was in motion, ready to stab. And others say shoot her in the leg or tase her, which is absurd, and everyone knows it. You don't have to be a cop to know that if you shot her in the leg, you're not going to stop the arm from going forward and stabbing the girl. Then you'd have a dead girl, and the cop would be in real trouble. Why didn't you neutralize the threat? Why would you use your taser when you could have used your sidearm and saved that girl's life? It's sick that we can't just give this cop credit and say he did the right thing. He saved a life. And by the way, you really want to be nauseated. The girl's birth mother, that Urkel-looking woman who was on TV like 10 minutes after her daughter was killed, shot dead, she's threatening to sue the city. She didn't even have custody of the child. She was in foster care. That's her mother. And I'm not saying Micaiah Bryant didn't have it tough. She had this repulsive person as her mother. Then she was put into foster care. And her father, you know who her father is? The guy kicking The other kid, I believe a girl, while Officer Reardon, again, to his credit, in the middle of this chaos, the guy kicking the girl on the ground is Ma'Khia Bryant's father, and he's threatening to sue, and his mother's threatening to sue. These people who are just awful, awful parents to this poor girl are trying to blame the system, the city. Hopefully they fail miserably. Hopefully they don't get a $27 million settlement like George Floyd did, because their child was this close to killing another child. And thankfully, Nicholas Reardon was there to save the girl in pink, who we haven't heard from yet. But I think most people realize LeBron's full of it. I think most people realize that there is really no legitimate criticism of the cop in this case. And there's been some pretty funny stuff done on this over the weekend. The cop, I'm not even sure where the cop is, doesn't matter, but he did this video, and he'll get in trouble. I can see his badge. I think his name is Sylvester, but Schuster or something. But he will get in trouble for this. My prediction, he'll have to delete it, apologize, told to not do this anymore. But let's hear from this officer who mocked LeBron brilliantly over the weekend.
Dispatch, I've arrived at that disturbance. Will you have LeBron call my cell phone right away, please? Thank you. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. No, can you put the knife down, please, sir? Sir, no, sir, don't stab it. No, stop stabbing. Stop. Oh, hold on. It's LeBron. LeBron, hey, yeah, it's me again. Listen, I'm out here at this disturbance call, and there's a guy trying to stab another guy with a knife. What do you think I should do? Why does that matter? Okay, well, they're both black. One guy's trying to stab another guy with a knife. Deadly force is completely justified. Uh-huh. I see. So you don't care if a black person kills another black person, but you do care if a white cop kills a black person, even if he's doing it to save the life of another black person? I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but then again, you are really good at basketball, so I guess I'll take your word for it. All right. Yep. Okay. All right. Thanks, LeBron. Michael Jordan's the GOAT. What? Nothing. I gotta go. Sorry, guys. You're on your own. Good luck.
That was better than any performance in Nomadland. Let me just say that.
I think it's up to like 3 or 4 million views on TikTok.
Oh, really good. Yeah. And you know what? Someone's gonna, whatever, threaten to suspend him or fine him or fire him or something, but he'll survive because it's so well done and it's so accurate. Like, two black people threaten, one's about to kill the other. I'll save the life of the girl in pink, and LeBron's going to dox me and say, you're next. You know what? In LeBron's defense, here's the only defense you can have for him. He's not that smart. He didn't understand the situation. He didn't read up. We know, he didn't read up on Malcolm X. He didn't read up on Nicholas Reardon either. And he reacted when he should have tried to learn a little bit about the situation. You know what he should have done after that? He should have said, my bad. My hat's off to this guy. I'm going to send him a pair of sneakers or something. I'll send him a signed ball because that cop saved the girl in pink's life. How hard is that?
Have you seen any reaction out of in LA specifically post his tweets and stuff like that from the police community there? Because I just remember we were when the Boston police stuff happened with Tuukka Rask and deleting the thing with Turtle Boy's blog when he found the deleted shirt. We were the only ones talking about it.
I know.
You know what I mean? And then obviously I don't think they've done a police appreciation or a first responder appreciation night since. I have no idea.
No.
A cop in LA seeing that. The guy runs the city, and then he does something like that. It's just
they wouldn't do it. But I mean, I think there is not real backlash because he's going to not result in anything. But I think this was a real glimpse at the real LeBron James, that idiot. And I think a lot of people are sick of him. Just, as a lot of people said, Laura Ingraham was right. Shut up and dribble. I've never been a shut up and dribble guy, but if he just shut up and didn't, stick his nose into this, there wouldn't have been no back. If he just read up and just watched the video and understood what happened, he wouldn't have done this. This was just a reaction. Oh, a cop killed a black person. Oh, you're next, buddy. I'm like, really? Is that really what you want the world to think? You're that stupid? But whatever. That cop, great job by the cop. By the way, there's another video over the weekend that didn't go viral, but it was out there of a punk harassing a cop saying, what, are you going to shoot me? You're going to shoot me like Ma'Khia Bryant? And the cop says, are you going to stab someone? And the reaction was, or the latest on this is the cop is under investigation. They might take disciplinary action because while he's being harassed, and these punks are everywhere now. They get in the cop's face and know cop can't do anything about it. You see it all the time when these Antifa guys start yelling at cops. He's harassing the cop, and the cop has a great response, a great retort. Says, "You're going to stab someone?" And they're investigating the cop. Now that is discouraging, to say the least. If you can't stand behind the cops when they have a witty retort, I mean, you're certainly not going to be there when they're in real trouble. But we'll see. We'll see. As that idiot director of whatever it was said, cops are out there killing 3 people. It's early, so they probably haven't killed their quota yet today. But we'll keep an eye on that. But anyway, that will do it for today. Oscars Monday. Thanks to DCU and Allied Paving and Shea Concrete. Thanks to everybody for listening and for watching on YouTube. Did you read all the react? I
did. We got a lot of reaction, and it comes in during the weekend, over the weekend too, which I like. So subscribe on YouTube, leave an Apple review on Apple Podcasts. That'll be nice. We appreciate it. By the way, we might have to get sporty. By the way, because I think Jimmy Garoppolo talks are heating up. So
yes, I do believe Jimmy Garoppolo will be available. But wouldn't you look silly if you gave him up for a 2nd-round pick, which was not enough? And you give up a lot more than that to get him back.
Yep.
But they're going to take a QB at 3. But do you think Kyle Shanahan? Well, we'll do it another day. But I'm going to guess you don't want the number 3 pick in the draft to start necessarily day one. You might want to, ease him into his NFL career. But that QB at 3, it's probably going to be Mac Jones, has such an advantage over the QBs at 1 and 2. Think of Zach Wilson, the kid from BYU. If he just slipped 1 notch, he goes to San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, doesn't go to the New York Jets. It makes all the difference in the world. He's going to make a lot of money. He's going to get, he's going to get his chance in New York. But the guy in San Francisco, whoever it is going into such a better situation. I'm going to guess Zach Wilson is jealous right now, saying, damn, if I could just slip 1 spot, I wouldn't be stuck in New York with the crappy Jets where he is doomed to, I don't want to say fail, but it ain't going to be easy. It ain't going to be easy for Zach Wilson. We'll be watching him and rooting for him. He's a fun guy to watch. But anyway, we got Turtle Boy tweeting about them harassing the cops in Somerville, painting all cops are bastards, ACAB across cruisers in Somerville. So this is all LeBron's fault. I would love to see that. Everyone blame LeBron. If there's a backlash, anti-police sentiment out there, it's all LeBron's fault. That's the way I look at it. But we will leave it there. Thanks for listening and watching and rating and reviewing. We appreciate it. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Podcast, and we will do it again tomorrow.